Hey friends. So this evening, it was brought back up for me that the current operation of the government could very well come to an end on September 30th. Did you realize that we were yet hurling towards and had a looming government shutdown that could very well happen on September 30th? Didn't know that? Yeah. I was just reminded today myself. So I said, government on the verge of shutting down again. Do we really understand that when the government shuts down, what does that really mean? What services continue? What services are partially disrupted? And then what services just completely come to a stop, come to an end? I wasn't 100% clear on that myself, so I said, let's learn together. I'm sure I have some folks out there who might be willing to listen to something that I have to say, who might be actually interested in knowing when the government shuts down, actually what happens. So, got some notes here. It's too much to commit to memory, so please excuse the fact that I'm going to be looking down doing a little reading this evening. So, services that will continue. First, national security, the military operations. These services and these servicemen and women will remain on duty, but they might not be paid until after the shutdown is over. Secondly, public safety. So that's FBI, that's DEA, that's TSA, Customs and Border, that's Secret Service, unfortunately, prison staff, it's marshals, and again, can't tell you that they're going to be paid for the services that they are rendering back to the country, excuse me, in a timely manner. Thirdly, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. These benefits continue since they are mandatory. However, customer service will be disrupted, as if it hadn't already been disrupted with big balls and their foolishness over there in Doji or whatever that made up completely unsanctioned department of the government is that now has all of our data. It's doing God knows what with it. I'm not going to get into that this evening. UPS, you will still receive your mail because the United States Postal Service is completely funded differently and it's funded in a different money source. FEMA will continue to go on. So we think long-term projects could be postponed, however. So that's what will continue going on. What services will be partially impacted and or delayed? Here we go. Veterans benefits. Payments continue, but the services like call centers or claims processing could face delays. Of course, because they would be furloughing employees who work in those centers. Food assistance, SNAP, WIC, and meal programs may continue short term, but could be shut down in the face of a long-term shutdown. Jesus. Passport and visa processing. Some offices will stay open, those that are funded via fees. So you got to pay a fee to have a service, so kind of like fee for service, right? They most likely will stay open, but services could slow. NIH, CDC, ongoing patient care will continue, but new client trials and research will not. That idiot over there. What stops? What just completely no more until after this government shutdown is over? National parks and museums. So your national parks will close. There will be no picking up of trash. There will be no maintaining of facilities in the parks. Your museums will close. I recall in the last government shutdown, I lived in DC at the time. I had left the Hill. Howsoever, I do recall, I used to still go down to the mall to walk. And I can recall you talking about lazy, crime-ridden cities that just have out of control crime rates, and the people are just horrible, and this, that, and the other. Well, at the time, the Parks Service that is over the mall. You have the museums shut down. Park Services controls all of that from Lincoln all the way up to the Capitol. We're not picking up the trash. You know who is picking up the trash? You know what service said, well, we can't just have the people, they weren't stopping coming to the mall, and the trash cans were overflowing and just shit everywhere, and just people doing as people do who don't care about the environment around them. They were just still throwing their stuff here and just piling up. You know who picked up the tab for that? The government of the District of Columbia. I'm sorry, I went off on a tangent. However, important though, because it is important to understand that local governments matter just as much as the federal government. Because when the federal government doesn't have its shit together, most of the time the local government is actually what picks up the slack. National parks and museums will close. Federal agencies, routine operations. So that's kind of like the Department of Education, Commerce, Labor, Housing will be furloughing most of its employees. Just letting folks go. As if that hadn't already happened, right? I mean, we do have a new authoritarian regime in the place of power. So research and grant programs. So new federal grants, contracts, and research projects, stop. None of that's happening. And then you have regulatory oversight. So you've got EPA, which I don't know how much of this is going to really affect how much a government shutdown would really affect some of these departments, because it seems to me they're already shut down. EPA, the SEC, OSHA, they will pause most of their services. Seems to me they've already paused most of their services. So I don't know. Because anything to do with the environment and anything to do with all the crap we are putting into the atmosphere that we are luxuriating in, breathing, walking in, soaking in, bathing in the water. This administration doesn't give a crap about any of that stuff. So, government websites and hotlines. So they will go offline most likely, or they will have automated services that give very generic updates around the fact that the government is closed and that they are doing no business. And so you should come back at another time. Maybe you should call your senators. Maybe you should call your congresswomen and or men and tell them that this crap, that this bullshit that they've got going on has got to stop. I don't know. That's me. That's just me. That's what I would do. I'm not telling anybody. to do what I would do, because it might get you in trouble. You know, the question becomes, in a government shutdown, I would ask, where are the Dems digging in? The Dems are digging in this time. If the Dems hold out, if they actually stiffen their spine, because right now it is real loosey-goosey, but if they actually stiffen their spine and they hold out, they're actually holding out on healthcare. They're actually holding out, or better yet, I should say, they're holding out on the sick care system, because we really don't have a healthcare system in this country. We really don't. We don't have an offense system. We have a defense system. So they are telling the Republicans, you cannot make all the cuts that you want to make to healthcare that are going to literally put millions upon millions upon millions of people off of Medicaid, off of Medicare, off of their employers' healthcare systems. Because literally with this bill, this horrible bill that was allowed to pass, with the bill, it is set to trigger into next year what are going to be astronomical taxes that will be imposed on the American people, the people who have to pay their medical bills. Those taxes are going to be passed along to you all. They're going to be passed along to me, right? So they're also saying you must extend the subsidies that came with the Affordable Health Care Act. Y'all know that act that y'all like to call Obamacare? Yeah, see that, Barack Obama? He will most likely always be in the background of my minutes, most likely, or that or something alpha, but yeah. Y'all like to call it Obamacare? No, it is actually the Patient Protection and Affordable Health Care Act. They are telling the Republicans, you must extend those. Because otherwise, people who are on Obamacare are going to be put off of their health care next year. Because they are not going to be able to afford a 70% markup to whatever they are currently paying right now. So you're going to have millions upon millions of people who are going to be put off of their health care. I don't care if your state said, oh, we're going to take that and we can do it better, in which they're not. They can't. They can't do it no better than the government agency that was set up to handle this Healthcare Act. Obamacare, the Patient Protection and Affordable Health Care Act. They're actually holding out on something, which I'm very, very, I'm almost elated that they, now here's the key. The key is they're holding out on it. The key is does the Senate minority leader actually stiffen his spine enough to not write a stiffly worded letter, to not come with some bullshit about, oh, well, we had to do it because it is, oh, we had to do it because of that. That's why Democrats stay losing. Republicans run over y'all's asses. Because you don't know how to fight. Neither here nor there. So what do shutdowns really mean to the everyday average person? Good question. Your government is taxing you for services that they are not delivering to you. Veterans not getting their benefits. In some cases, your Medicare, Medicaid, your payments, or the services that go around those payments are delayed. I don't believe I mentioned Social Security. Social Security is something that will continue to go on because it is federally mandated that it should. If I did, please please charge it to my head, not my heart, that I have forgotten that I had already mentioned that. However, I don't think I did. You will still get your parents, those who are on Social Security, they will still get their money, but don't have to call the Social Security Administration for anything. That's the point. So getting back to what do shutdowns mean for average everyday people? Your government is taxing you for services they're not offering at that point in time. They're not going to stop taxing you because they shut down for 30 or 60 days. That they figured out how to get that shit to still go on. You're still going to be taxed. Secondly, it means hundreds of thousands of hardworking Americans go unpaid. President still gets paid as if his ass needs the money. Senators and Congress people still get paid. Their staffers do not. Their staffers are not going to not come to work because they don't get paid. Because they are serving at the pleasure of the people. Just like the person who was elected serves at the pleasure of the people. The congresswoman, congressman, they get paid. Their staffer doesn't. Myriads of hardworking Americans who go to Capitol Hill every day, be they Republican or Democratic, excuse me. I am not using the language of the enemy. Democratic. They don't get paid. Thirdly, it allows the real party at fault to blame the other party for the shutdown. Now, what I do know, and I'm saying that because what is going to happen is the Republicans are going to blame the Democrats for standing on business and shutting down the government for things that they believe will better the people. Because the Democrats are actually, I have a lot to say about the Democrats. I am currently no longer a registered Democrat. It just happens to be because of the state that I currently live in. They do not register people. I did not go back and register as one. I have a lot to say about the Democrats. What I do know is they are not actively working to destroy the American way of life. They are not working to actively destroy the American democracy as the Republicans are. I will stand on business on that statement. And I didn't stutter when I said it, so come at me if you need to. And I will blink at you just like I'm blinking at the camera. What I do know is the Republican Party is currently in control of the White House, of the House, of the Congress, be it the House of Representatives and the Senate. And guess what? They are in control of the Supreme Court. Yeah, I said it. Because it's a fact. They are. The Supreme Court is now effectively an operating branch of the Republican Party. Pass your own damn bills. You have complete control. You got complete autonomy across the entire government of the United States. Pass your own bills. Why do you need the Democrats? You got it. Go at it. They've already passed one bad bill. They can get another one passed. So, at the end of the day, what I do know is shutdowns do not benefit the American people. Sometimes they are necessary, but we all kind of lose in the end when these things happen. That, my friends, is why elections matter. Have a good night.